I'm not even prepared. I don't know what to say. Tom Brady's retiring. You control a lot more of your life than you think. If you're angry today on the internet, you don't have to be. Holding a grudge with a cousin, you don't need to be. How do you view the world? Beginning to end, once you can walk, you overwhelmingly control your happiness. Many don't see it that way. They're victims, they're unhappy, they find fault. Tom Brady played passionately and joyfully, and that is a huge memory for me. No acrimony, no bitterness, move on when the time was right. And the time is right now. He is the most productive and influential player in the history of the National Football League. Don't waste my time arguing he's not. He leaves dynamically with a sense of timing. Not shocking at all. He will not go into broadcasting. He owns multiple companies. He will no longer be an employee. Roger Staubach, John Elway, and Tom Brady all had something magnificent in common. They left with a lot left. Elway and Staubach, it should be noted, are probably as successful as any pro football players ever in their post-business career. Brady will be too. Timing matters. I wish more people understood it. Michael Jordan to the Wizards. Ugh. Joe Namath to the Rams. Oh, Lord. Ben limping off into the sunset. It doesn't have to be that way. Even in comedy, Seinfeld and Jon Stewart left as icons and their shows number one. Both would go on to excellent acts beyond their stardom. And when I look at Brady, it is such a refined, prepared way to leave. He controlled his ending just like he controlled the NFL for 22 years. Not a GM, not an owner, not a rickety body. Tom Brady controlled it. And it's not a coincidence that the most meticulously prepared, the most overwhelmingly detailed, the most driven and focused professional athlete of my life left completely, utterly on his terms, in great shape at an MVP level. That's what you do when you take care of your money, you take care of your brand, you take care of yourself, you take care of your body. This is how it ends. John Elway did it, Roger Staubach did it, and Tom Brady did it. And it's harder in football. They don't tackle you in baseball or basketball. They do briefly in hockey, but this is a hard sport to retire with elegance. And it is in no way a coincidence that the most meticulously prepared athlete of my life retired perfectly. And both the Patriots and the Buccaneers will feel the wake. Now, from that to this, many people, I think restraint is an important thing. I've said this for years. Fans have a right to be crazy. Fan is short for fanatic. We're not supposed to be. If you tune into a show like this or the one before us or after us or a show on another network, you're looking for us to give you something maybe you don't have, lead you in a direction of information that you didn't have. So many this morning are saying, can you believe Tom Brady didn't mention the Patriots? Oh, for God's sakes, media, show some restraint. I went and looked up Tom Brady's letter when he left New England. It was a beautifully penned final chapter. The book is closed. That book is closed. Now, if Tom Brady gives a Hall of Fame speech in Canton and doesn't mention the Patriots, that would be a story. That would be a grudge. But there's going to be ample amounts and ample opportunities for Tom to discuss the Patriots. I don't know. One of his 6 Super Bowl anniversary nights in Foxborough? Maybe the night they unveil his gigantic statue outside of Gillette Stadium? I don't know. I've come to terms. We'll probably have one or two Tom Brady nights over the next 20 years. Again, go read the letter. It's the final chapter. Media show restraint. There is no story here. Tom Brady had the greatest career for one team by a mile in the history of the league. It was called New England. And then in the last year, it got bumpy. There were rumors. He closed it, walked over to the owner's house, signed, sealed, deliver, and it closed. And then now he goes to Tampa, quickly 2 years, not an ideal fit, but like with Brady and everything, his passion and joy, his aspiration, his focus, won a Super Bowl. And now he wants to show respect to those owners and that coach and that GM and that city and those fans. It is not in the least disrespectful to New England. That's the best-selling book of all time. And this sequel, though short, it was a bestseller too. They're separate, and Tom has the right, when he pens a letter, to end both chapters to stay on point. It's how he played. It's how he retired. It is a non-story that Brady didn't mention the Patriots. A total non-story. He's not retiring from the Patriots. He's retiring from the Buccaneers and the National Football League. All right, so that was the story today that is going to capture the nation's attention. Somebody, I got a fan came up to me the other day, just about 48 hours ago, and said, after the story, I went out to the grocery store, and somebody came up and said, can you believe the media broke the story and didn't let Brady break the story? I've said this before. Ideally, Tom would have controlled it. But it's very, very difficult when you have multiple properties. You live in Tampa. You may have just told somebody you're not going to rent their house anymore. It's very hard to control the messaging on stuff like this. And by the way, the media is a lot of different things. The media is the New York Times. The media is Fox News Channel. The media is NPR. The media is listening to a baseball game in the summer as you drive to the lake with your kids. The media encompasses a lot. It's global. It's everywhere. Some of it you like, some of it you don't. I've always compared it to the IRS. Everybody hates them with an audit. Everybody likes a refund. Sometimes we audit. Sometimes we do things that make people uncomfortable. The media is not created to be universally loved. That is the job of reporters, to break stories. Joy and I had the good fortune to break the story that he was going to Tampa. Tom probably would have loved to break the story that he was going to Tampa. But when you're Tom Brady and you have this web of agents and companies and friends and allies, and you're just America's sport rock star, somebody's going to talk. I mean, ask yourself this. In your family, can you keep a secret for a weekend? The idea that Tom Brady, in this web of media that he's been around, some allies, some enemies, somebody's going to break the story. I don't blame the reporters. The media is not one thing. It's their duty. It's their job. Tom's duty was to win games. Their duty is to break stories. It happens. It's about the only thing, for the record, Tom didn't control for the last 22 years. His move to Tampa and his move out of the NFL. Stories like that get broken. Great to have you in today. There's so many different angles on Brady. I'm going to give you in 45 minutes my top 5 memorable Brady moments. And they're not necessarily games. The top 5 things when I think of Brady, the imagery and the images of what Tom stands for. Some are games, some aren't. But when I think of Brady, it goes beyond touchdowns. I mean, I tell you this, Brady's my favorite football player ever. I could not tell you one record. How many touchdown passes all time? No idea. I couldn't tell you a single record. Brady was more than that for me. First of all, baseball's the sport of numbers, records, and history. It's a rear-view mirror sport. Football, have I ever brought up talking about running backs, Gale Sayers, Hugh McElhaney, Jim Brown? In baseball, you regularly bring up Koufax and Mickey Mantle and Bob Gibson. It's just a different sport. It's not a sport where I care about records. It's about winning. Football's about winning games. Chargers didn't get into the playoffs. Nothing matters about Justin Herbert. To him, it's a failed season. Joe Burrow's in the Super Bowl. Don't care about records, nor does he. It's about an opportunity to be the best team in football. So for Brady, for me, was never about touchdowns and records and MVPs. Brady was about winning games and doing whatever it took to win games, including, here's a number that people won't pay attention to and should, his salary. Tom Brady, for the last 22 years, and I'd say really the last 12 to 15, when he could have been the highest paid player in the league and been the biggest salary cap hit, wasn't. We don't look at that number. That's the key to Mahomes. Mahomes, they're manipulating his contract in Kansas City so he can keep Travis Kelce and he can keep Tyreek Hill and hopefully they can keep Honey Badger. That's the number that I think about with Brady. I don't think about any other number. The fact that he was willing, and you could say, well, he's married to a supermodel. Long before he and Giselle met, Tom was not interested in puncturing any success with a massive salary cap hit. And I've said this. I think Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are remarkable, but they are punitive cap hits to their team. That means you can't get that edge rusher you need. You can't get that second receiver in Green Bay you want. You can't get that left tackle, right tackle, Mike linebacker, second great corner in Seattle you want. That number for Brady stands out. That's a sacrifice. And you can say, well, his wife's a supermodel. I can't speak for women. I'll speak for men. Money matters professionally. It's viewed as not just net worth, but respect worth. And for a pro athlete that is the best in the sport to say, I don't need to be a top 3 paid quarterback. It's not about the money. It's about respect for guys. You hear that all the time with guys. What about the respect? And Tom was like, I got to get over myself. I want to win games. I've said this about LeBron James. I'm never going to tell an athlete to take less money. But if you want another shooter on the roster, when your net worth is $900 million and you got shoe deals and you made $300 million on the Beats by Dre, if you want another shooter, there's a way to do it. There is a way to do it. Tom shows all these athletes. There's a way to have better players around you. Not worry about your net worth. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.